Welcome back to The Career Man. This is your place, your source for everything career related, including interviews with experts in different fields, as well as information about what it's actually like to do certain jobs on a day-to-day basis. Today, we are going to talk about business process mapping and notation, and that is a part of the regimen of a business analyst. And like I said in my last video, I am currently a business analyst, and I'm going to go into kind of what we do on a daily basis. And business process mapping is a part of that, and I will show you what that kind of involves. So hopefully you will get something out of that, and you can see whether or not it would be something you would like to do someday. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's my blank diagram, and what's pretty cool is this is a blank canvas to notate whatever your business process is. And there's a methodology called Business Process Mapping and Notation, BPMN for short. And it has standardized shapes that represent certain activities within a business process. And so I'm using a program called Lucidchart, and they have a wonderful tool to map out the business process. And I've got down here in the Save Shapes section each of the events that we're going to talk about today. And I'll drag them out onto the blank diagram, and I'll explain what each of them mean. All right, so as you can see, we've got a task, then we've got start, and we've got end, and we've got a decision. So these are kind of the bare bones basic diagrams or icons that you would use within a diagram to map your business process. And so what business analysts do, or at least part of what they do, is use a tool like Lucidchart to to map out what the business is doing. So you can imagine a start can be used to represent, it is used to represent the starting point. So let's think of maybe a customer at a grocery store. They would go in and they would want to shop. So you can notate that they're starting to shop, and you can even say, you can label that green circle starting to shop. And then once they get into the grocery store, they're going to grab a cart, right? And then the next thing they do would be picking up items off the shelf. So you can say picking up items off shelf. So as you can see, these kind of represent what the process is going into a grocery store and coming out, and being able to complete that process. And especially for a business analyst in the technology realm, you have to think of what the customer would need or what the business would need to support the grocery visit. And as a part of that visit, what is cool is that the customer has to pay, so they have to pay with cash or a card. Well, we need technology to support that, and that would be the next step after they're finished picking up items off the shelf. They would walk to the cash register. And once they walk to the cash register, they're going to start putting their items on the conveyor belt, right? Okay. and we can move these as close in or as small, however works. So one thing you want to keep in mind when doing these diagrams is you don't want it so crowded that it looks busy. You want it to be easy enough for business partners to understand, so that, someone who's the, let's say the manager of the grocery store, you want them to be able to look at this and to understand it without, having to figure out or stare at it for a long time. You want it to be pretty simple. So the customer puts the items on the conveyor belt, and after that point they need to pay, right? But before they can pay, the cash register has to scan. The cashier has to scan the items using the scanner. So cashier scans items, and as a part of that process, maybe we have a bagger who bags the items. All right, and once they are finished with scanning everything and bagging the items, then the customer needs to pay. So what is the customer going to pay with? Are they going to choose a cash or a debit card or a credit card? So method of payment is what I'm going to label this decision. And what's cool is you can connect all of these with arrows, so you can see the flow of the customer going through the grocery store and going through everything that they encounter in the grocery store. So let's see here. All right, so we've connected everything. And so method of payment. So let's say they pay with cash. So if they pay with cash, that would be one branch off of the decision point. So you would drag a line, and like I was saying before, you want to keep it as simple as possible. So you want to, and you want to be able to see it clearly. So that's why I'm adjusting the lines here, so it's a little bit easier to see this branch off of the decision point. So I'm going to label this cash. And if they pay with cash, the cashier is going to take payment and give change. And then once they give the change back to the customer, they're pretty much finished. They can, walk out with their items and go to the car. So we can connect this to an endpoint, saying that that's ended our process. All right. So another branch is, paying with a credit or debit card. And you can see here, I've got an arrow, and we're going to label this line credit or debit. Okay. And with this task, the cashier, oops, I've got too many lines there. So with this task, if the customer chooses to pay with a credit or a debit card, what you have to do, the cashier takes card, or some grocery stores have the little pin pads where you can insert your card and do your pin number. So you can have the cashier takes card, or customer uses pin pad. And that's where technology comes into play. So with this step, it's not just a person physically going through the grocery store and performing all of these actions. You actually have to involve technology. Once the user or the customer in the grocery store hands the card to the cashier, or they insert it into the pen pad, that technology has to communicate with their bank, and the bank has to make sure that they've got enough money to cover however much the grocery store items cost. And so there's all that going on in the background. So we can take another task here. And we can say system contacts bank and authorizes the transaction. Okay. All right. And then at that point, just like the cashier giving the change, the physical money, to the customer, well, the customer gets their card back, and then they're pretty much done. They just take their items out to their car. So that ends this process. We can connect it to, the ending point here. And now we've got what we call a business process map. So that's what business analysts, part of their job is to figure out, what do you have to go through in order to complete a process? And then once you have the process down on paper, using this kind of visual tool, you then go and analyze, well, are there any ways to make this more efficient? Is there any way we can improve the customer experience when they go through each of these steps? And that's the job of a business analyst, to see where the business can be more efficient. And that's really cool. I think it's cool. That's my profession at the moment. And I know some people would find this probably really boring, but for those of you who think you might like doing something like this, it's pretty cool, because you can visually represent something, and you can actually help businesses save money, and ultimately create a legacy. If they're saving money, then they're going to be able to work more efficiently, and they'll be able to have more money to pay their employees and to retain employees. And then, they'll have enough money to continue doing business. So that's what's really, really cool. And that's what I like about business analysis. So this is kind of the first iteration of a business process map. And there's a lot of other icons that you can use that go into, further detail. And there's some really cool trainings on that, if you want to find out more. But it's a pretty cool process. At the end of the business process mapping demo, I said that there are resources out there if you want to learn more about business analysis, and I will put links in the description below of those resources. There's several places you can go to get more information. One place that I've used a lot that I really like is called Udemy, and it's kind of like a collection of different videos and different classes and training on several different subjects, and business analysis is one of those subjects. So Don Hussey is the name of a guy that created a series for business analysis, and I'll link to his videos below. And also, I've heard of Skillshare, and I've never used Skillshare myself, but it's a similar platform where different teachers and experts can post trainings and videos and classes of, of different areas. And I did look on there today, and there are business analysis videos there. And also, there is an international Association for Business Analysts, and it's called the IIBA, and I'll link to them down below. And they have, different resources and also certificates and certifications that you can get. There's different levels, but you can get those certifications and become, more skilled in your career if you choose to do business analysis. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit that notification bell. And if you really like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.